1, 2, 3, 4.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Here we go now. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. For years I've learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Come on. We're so happy to see you here on this beautiful, brisk, and lovely March Sunday. We thank you for being here with us, and we want you to know that the doors are always swung wide open for you to enter. So we'd like to now invite you to please stand as you are able, and let's let our inner light shine.
1, 2, 1, 2.
This inner light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This inner light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This inner light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Shine it all over the world. I'm
let it shine, let it shine. Woo! Feeling it. Loving it. Look at all those shining faces out there. Well, welcome. Welcome to Unity Church of Hawaii. We're centered in God. We elevate global consciousness through the realization of oneness. I am so absolutely blessed to be in the presence of such beautiful light beings as each one of you this whole and holy day. Because unity is a spiritual, educational, and healing movement where we welcome all people on all spiritual paths. We absolutely celebrate diversity. And whether we look different, whether we think differently, what we know to be the truth here at Unity is that we are one heart, one mind, one life in the heart, the mind, and the life of the divine. And our spiritual teachers, our co-founders, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, they went forth and they shared this message. And they didn't have internet and they didn't have cell phones. They went out and spoke the truth through prayer, through meditation, and through what we call positive affirmation. And friends, this month is the month of strength. And when I think of the month of strength, I think about getting our spiritual muscles all tuned up. And so let's practice a little positive affirmation here together. Are you ready? So you're going to repeat after me. I flex my spiritual muscles. I flex my spiritual muscles. I flex my spiritual muscles of love and peace. I flex my spiritual muscles of love and peace. I flex my spiritual muscles of joy and laughter. I flex my spiritual muscles of joy and laughter. I am one in the power of love. I am one in the power of love. And with that love and that strength and your spiritual muscles you've got flexed, I'd like you to stand as you are able and greet one another with love and aloha.
inside of the soul. And I don't know if you know there's a light that is so bright. I just thought I'd tell you there is a light inside of the soul. And I don't know if you know there's a light that is so bright. And it's time to celebrate.
Ooh, what a celebration. Thank you, Zamar, and thanks to each one of you for coming out and celebrating this beautiful Sunday March morning with us. How are you feeling today? All right, I'm going to ask that one more time. I saw one person in the back not respond. How are you feeling today? All right, that's what I suspected. I see all these beautiful faces and all these smiles, and it just brightens my heart. And also what brightens my heart was that hug fest, that love fest, that handshake fest. And if you met somebody for the first time, or if you haven't been here for a long time, if this is your first time or first time in a long time, we invite you to stand so we can shower you with gifts of aloha. And yes, okay. We do have some visitors. So what you are receiving is a kukui nut lei, which represents the light, the love of these Aloha Islands. And also, you'll be receiving a visitor's packet. And inside that, a welcome packet, you'll receive a coupon, a voucher for a free breakfast down in our Past Connection Central to our kitchen. And yes, food, exactly. We have some top chefs here. It's right through there. If you go down, and one of our ushers, please, if you see somebody with a kukui nut lei, please escort them down through Connection Central to our kitchen, our courtyard, and you'll be able to enjoy a meal on us. And we thank you for visiting with us. And so just please remain standing so we can give you another gift, and it's called a blessing. So friends, let us together bless our newcomers. Together, the light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. And yes, thank you so much for joining us. And this is our invitation to connect with our first timers. So friends, if you see somebody with a kukui nut lei on, please tell them, share your experience here. Tell them the transformation that has occurred in your life because of this spiritual ohana. Welcome them in when you're taking or getting your breakfast and have a conversation with them. And then we also have some live streamers. So whether they're from Atlanta, Deutschland, down under in Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, we have viewers from all around the world. So let us welcome them with a shaka. We say thank you for joining us. Every week, our faithful audience down across the globe that live stream us in. So mahalo for your continued support as well. And today, I have joining me on platform is the beautiful Cindy Hensley, our religious science practitioner, and giving today's message, of course, is our interim minister, Nicholas Griffin. So mahalo for everyone's service today. And now, Cindy, I hear you have some good news. What be the news?
We have some good news, Reverend Johanna. Always good news. And I always like to start off that good news with a little drum roll, Garen. Bring it on. Boom. Right here in your bulletin is everything you need to know all about Unity. It is your passport to what's happening. And first and foremost this morning, we have a special guest with a special announcement just for you. Joanne Adams, you're up first, my friend. Woohoo!
The fate of a name that begins with A. Okay, I'm here not as board president. I'm here by as a member of the election committee. Yesterday we spent tallying the bylaws votes, and we got them tallied. Thank you very much to those who came to help. The bylaws, in order to pass, require 75% of an affirmative vote. So 75% must say they approve. And none of the measures got to the 75%, so I'll just briefly summarize. The one about the voting age limit got 50.8%. The categories by members was 56.8%. The voting membership, the third question, was 58.6%. And the reinstatement of voting was 67, so it was 2/3, but it was not 3/4. So none of them passed, and so the good news on that is that the bylaws that are currently online are still the most current. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. So, coming right up after service today, speaking of board, and that was our board president, we have board talks right here in the sanctuary, 1 o'clock. So if you've got something that you'd like to ask of the board, if you've got something on your hearts that you'd like to know more about, or you just want to find out what's the skinny, we will provide you with board talks right here at 1 o'clock. I tell you, you will not be bored. All right? It's happening. So next we have, coming up, this last weekend, actually Saturday, yesterday, we started a C class, Spiritual Enrichment and Education. And the amazing oh my gosh, that was a slip of the tongue. That could happen. The amazing Dr. Catherine Burton, it could be Reverend, is teaching Bible interpretation. And that's going to be continuing on for the next 4 Saturdays coming up. So that's one of our C classes, Spiritual Education and Enrichment. If you'd like to take a deeper dive into the soul of who you are, these classes are amazing with amazing teachers. Our next class we have coming up is called the 12 Powers. So many of you know the 12 Powers. We speak of them each month. This is the power of strength. We tapped into that strength this morning. The 12 powers are not just a design for what you're to wear to church, which color. This is the color of spring green. The 12 powers are about the power that we hold within each one of us. And so if you'd like to learn more about the 12 powers, the beloved Reverend Margie, who is spreading her power and her grace right now over on Big Island, sharing the message, is going to be teaching that class. That starts next Saturday up in room 201. Continuing on, we have an amazing workshop with our interim minister, Nicholas, and it is on March 23rd. It's going to be right here in the chapel. So mark your calendars. Again, that is March 23rd. It's called The Continuum. We're going to be sharing and speaking. Nicholas is going to be telling us and talking to us with his wisdom and knowledge about this thing that we call eternal life. So if you have questions, concerns, thoughts, if you'd like to know more, come and be a part of that sacred conversation. And I do believe those are all the announcements I have. More information is in your bulletin. And so now, friends, I invite you to take a breath with me as we move into a time of a sacred prayer, song, and meditation.
We are one. We are one. I am you, you are me. We are one. And in this unity, we will live in harmony, and peace will come, 'cause we are one.
Thank you, and thank you, everybody, for coming this morning. It's wonderful to see you. This is our second gathering, and always look forward to. You know by now that we set aside a little time at this point in our service to establish in consciousness, in heart and mind, what I call a thought for the week, our own very special statement, affirmation, that we can carry with us and use to help us through the days of our week ahead as they unfold. But I like sometimes to give a little preliminary idea of why I've chosen a particular thought or a particular affirmation. We are, in many ways, creatures of paradox. We live in the world amongst our fellow creatures. We live in community. Some people have referred to this situation, this state, rather infelicitously as the herd. But we know what it's like to live around other people, some of whom we don't find congenial, some of whom we like, and some of whom irritate us. But we live in the world. We have to work with people, and we have to carry on and do our business. But we also are individuals. This is one of the remarkable things about the country in which we live, that our founders saw individual human beings as having individual potential that only they could realize. And Unity continues this tradition, of course, because we talk about individual illumination, individual realization of one's own potential. We talk about finding the light in ourselves, because our founders believed that the world will not change, much as we might like it to. You can't coerce people always into seeing things your way, as I have found out over the years, and I'm sure you have. The way to change the world is to change ourselves, is it not? To grow and to learn and to let that inner light radiate so that others wish to emulate us, to be near us, close to us, learn from us. And we have to do this because this is the sacred center of our being, which many of us realize must be recognized and cultivated. So today I want to share a thought for the week which emphasizes and reflects this very, very powerful unity belief. And I invite you just to rest for a moment, relax, perhaps close your eyes in this beautiful environment, breathe a little deeply, maybe let go of any stress or strain that sneaked in here this morning with us. We don't need that. Just relax, breathe. Breathe deeply, breathe easily, and as you breathe in, feel that sense of strength and power that comes from that breath, the very breath of life. And hold it for a second, and then let it go. Let it go. Let it carry with it any residual fear or resistance or frustration you may have. Breathe in, hold it, and let it go. And our thought for the week is this, as always, a simple one. Lord, illumine me. Lord, illumine me. Let's say that together. Lord, illumine me. And together with conviction. Lord, illumine me. Now we know that illumination, that light, that wisdom, that power and strength, they're already inside of us. But we have to remind ourselves to reach out and claim that light from which we derive all strength and power and creative energy. So let's make our week ahead a light of special inner illumination. And wherever we may be, whatever situation may confront us, whatever frustration we may encounter, we just pause wherever we are and we say quietly to ourselves, in this moment, Lord, illumine me. Lord, illumine me, and we wait to feel that wonderful access of strength and power, which is the light of Christ in each one of us. Lord, illumine me. Say it together, please. Lord, illumine me. And for a few moments in the silence, let's rest in that, affirm it quietly to ourselves, establish it in consciousness. It is our thought for the week. Lord, illumine me. Lord, illumine me. we remember that we're not begging for illumination, we're claiming it because we know it's present. And we want it to shed its light on every one of our activities, our thoughts, our words, our deeds. Lord, this week ahead, illumine me. I give thanks for this truth, the growing realization that I am not alone, but part of the great creative energy that is the very universe itself. Amen.
Beloved one who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our errors as we forgive each other, and so forgive ourselves. And leave us not in times of trial, but deliver us from fear. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Let all the people say amen. In every tribe and tongue, let every soul in song rejoice to see the kingdom come. Let every hope and every dream be born in us again. Let all the world sing with one voice. Let the people say Let all the people say amen. In every tribe and tongue, let every soul in song rejoice to see the kingdom come. Let every hope and every dream be born in us again. Let all the world sing with one voice. Let the people say
Aloha kakahiaka.
A 1, 2, 3.
Keep moving on, moving on, 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 keep moving on.
tomorrow will bring. You hear the voice of reason telling you this can never be done. No matter how hard reality seems, just hold on to your dreams. Don't give up and don't give in. Although it seems you'll never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic if things around you crumble. No, you don't have to stumble and fall. Keep pushing on and never look back. Oh, yeah. I've heard of storms and strife. I've been around them all of my life. Keep pushing on and you'll be inspired to reach higher and higher. You will always do your best. If you learn to never say never, you will always pass the test as long as you reach. Don't give up and don't give in. Although it seems you'll never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can sing with us. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic.
Thank you. Somebody called me last week and they said, do you remember when you were here before, you used to tell us some little jokes, mirth moments, before, just to sort of loosen us up a little bit, get a life, you know, and he said, why don't you do that? And I said, oh, yeah, okay, maybe it's time. The Lord loves laughter in the house. So here are some good jokes that I can share with you by way of mirth moments. They're jokes that you would tell your grandmother, I hope. And I solicit jests for Sunday morning, if you have any. This is entitled, What If Biblical Headlines Were Written in Today's Press? On the Red Sea crossing, wetlands trampled in labor dispute, pursuing environmentalists killed, inquiry promised. On David and Goliath, hate crime kills beloved champion. Psychologist questions influence of rock. On the birth of Jesus, hotels full, animals left homeless. Animal rights activists enraged by insensitive couple, charges pending. On feeding the 5,000, preacher steals child's lunch. Disciples mystified over abusive behavior. Maybe the Bible would never have been written if we'd had the press to watch us. I wanted to talk about victimization today. Yes, because there's a lot of victimization in our world, much of it genuine and terrible, but many of us do experience a species of victimization in our own lives, perhaps generated when we were young, perhaps as a result of, again, not measuring up to what other people imagined we ought to achieve. Victimization is with us. There's no doubt about that. And it can be very damaging to many of us who experience it in our spiritual understanding, in our pursuit of the spiritual way. So we need to learn to deal with victimization. You can put this in the category of Lenten cleansing, if you want, which was what we tried to do yesterday with some nasty states of mind. But first I want to read you a story of a classic victim. And this is Joseph, reading from the book of Genesis. Joseph, you remember, had his coat of many colors. Bible scholars don't use that expression much anymore. They like to think that it was a long-sleeved coat instead. But I suppose it really doesn't matter. But when Joseph came up to his brothers, they stripped him of this precious long-sleeved robe, which his father had given him. Obviously, they were jealous. They took him and threw him into a pit. And the pit was empty, and it had no water in it. Terrible thing. But Midianite merchants passed by, and they drew Joseph up out of the pit. Not with any positive intention, alas, because they sold him for 20 pieces of silver to Ishmaelite traders who brought him to Egypt, where he became a servant in the house of a wealthy Egyptian. Well, he prospered in that situation, as you remember the story, but he was charged again with a crime that he didn't commit, thrown into jail, but once again, he refused to accept that role of victim, which, after all, I think he was entitled to imagine was his. Wouldn't you feel victimized if your relatives threw you in a pit without any water and you got sold into slavery as a result? I think most of our relatives, if they wish us ill, I hope at least, are dealing in slightly less blatant terms. But Joseph certainly had a justification for thinking that he was victimized. But Joseph had what a couple of my New York friends call chutzpah. He was not going to accept that victim role. He refused. As I say, nobody was better entitled to accept it, but he refused. He wouldn't do it. He'd found that spirit, that light of God within himself, and he was not going to let anything obscure that. He was going to let that shine. And he did. And he achieved, we know, a tremendous amount as a result. He's always been sort of the classic victim who refused to accept the role. Now, I want to be clear. There are still, of course, many, many, many genuine victims in this world. What a tragedy it is. Children, innocent children all over the world. The poor, the elderly who suffer unnecessarily. Women who have had their lives distorted merely because of their gender. I mean, you could go on and on describing genuine victims. But at the same time, for every one of those victims, there always seems to be someone who transcends that victimization, breaks free, is able to discover the power within him or herself and go forward and express the light. Doesn't take that victimization on. When I was a kid, I used to walk to school every day, and I used to walk with a friend. He was a little bit older than I, and we used to walk together. We had some interests in common. We were only about 9 or 10 years of age, but we were often set upon by this group of guys who beat us up. It was kind of a regular occurrence. They did it in part because we went to a better school than they, or at least they thought we went to a, but we didn't think we went to a better school, but they thought so. But mainly, they beat us up because guess what? My friend was Catholic. And there was so much anti-Catholic prejudice in that town that these kids would bully and beat us and beat me up for being with him. Guilt by association. I didn't tell anybody. You didn't squeal in those days. You kept quiet. You accepted these things. But I remember feeling keenly that I was victimized as a result of that. But, you know, I learned to overcome it and move forward. But I met my friend, Peter, some years later, and to my distress, he had accepted that role. He had taken on the role of victim. He had become apologetic. He had suffered greatly in his emotional life, in his psychological life, and it had affected even his physical life. And I thought, what an absolute tragedy, because this is a very bright boy, man, who had just fallen right into this role and accepted it. And ever since that time, whenever I've worked with people, I've looked for the evidences of victimization in their thinking. And I've tried to help them to eliminate it, because not only are they giving strength to those who try to victimize them, letting them win, if you will, they're needlessly destroying their own magnificent opportunities that could shine if they didn't always have this feeling of victimization that drags them down. I told the story this morning of a Jewish rabbi whom I knew very well, and he was in Germany. He was German, and of course you know what happened in the... Now he's long past, but you know what happened in the 1930s to Jews in Germany. They weren't immediately annihilated. That was a terrible, terrible tragedy that occurred a little later in the war and especially affected Jews in the East. But he was sent to a concentration camp, Konzentrationslager, which is not a death camp, but it was so horrifying to be in one of those that you were expected to die anyway. You were overworked or starved or whatever, or beaten. So he put up with that for some years. His family, of course, vanished. And before the war ended, he was, in fact, sent to the east, to a death camp, where, of course, he expected every day to die. And yet, I knew him, probably 30 years ago. He was a remarkable man who spent his entire life working amongst the disadvantaged in one of our big cities. He had come out of what he preferred to call the Shoah. Many Jewish people don't like to use the word Holocaust, and there are reasons for this, theological and other reasons that we don't have to go into. But the Shoah means the tragedy or the unfortunate thing. And he was a victim of this, and he'd lost his entire family. Now, surely a man who had been through what he had been had his fellow human beings despise, threaten him. Every day promised that he wouldn't survive for the next 24 hours. He had suffered that victimization. Surely, you would say, nobody is better entitled to claim victimization than this man, and yet he didn't. He wouldn't. I asked him, I said, you know, you're a victim. How have you overcome this feeling? He said, I won't give them the satisfaction. Because he said, I know I have something in me that is stronger than anything anybody can do to me. And I want to let that presence shine. I want to show that we can live up to higher standards. And he'd spent his life subsequently in this remarkable display of compassion and love to his fellow human beings. Didn't matter whether they were Jewish or any other religion. That was what he did. And I thought, what an incredible lesson. What a wonderful lesson that is. To not allow those who have had power over us, who have tried to victimize us, not let them win and have the final say. Or maybe it's circumstances. Maybe the IRS has victimized you. Maybe illness has victimized you. We often accept that role and say we have been victimized in that sense. But we must not allow it to happen. We cannot. Now, having said that, having said all of that, there's a sneaky little a sneaky little addendum here that I'm going to slip in. Do you know that some of us, self-included, some of us do use victimization to get that little extra bit of sympathy and to say, well, I could or I would have done it if I hadn't been the victim. Maybe of the devil. The devil made me do it. That's a good one, actually, because it's very hard to refute that. The devil made me do it. But we do get a little bit of extra, maybe a little bit of extra chicken soup. If we, this cold like a cat. I mean, I've been a victim of this cold for a week, you know, and take another couple of days off from work, you know. And it's a temptation, isn't it? I mean, we all do it. We all do it. And that's understandable. That's human nature, because the fundamental driving force of human nature is self-preservation. And anything we can do to add to that self-preservation, make life a little easier, make self-preservation itself a little easier, we're naturally going to take it. And if getting a little extra mileage out of victimization, if that really helps, okay, you know, we're not averse to doing it. A human foible, a failure. But it's when that becomes internalized and becomes part of our fundamental psyche, part of our overall psychology, and we just live in that consciousness, whether it's justifiable, we have been horribly victimized, like my rabbi friend, or whether it's something that happened a few years ago in childhood or in school, it's equally damaging to our spiritual growth and maturity. We don't need that sense of victimization. And alas, there are some people who have come from religious backgrounds where they were cast as victims. And all, I think, in an effort sometimes to control and manipulate rather than free. Anybody who is interested in freeing us will tell us that we are in truth free. Nobody can crush or victimize us unless we let them. That's one of the great messages we have in unity. Nobody can, it may seem very odd to you, nobody can hurt us, really, truly, unless we let them. And when we let them, they win, and we lose, because we diminish that glorious light of being in ourselves. We tell it, we don't trust it. It will see us through every eventuality, because eternal life, that gift of light and creation, is ours. Nobody can take it from us. When we accept victimization, we're in effect saying to that which made us, well, you know, you made a kind of a flawed thing here. No, we were made. We were made to learn and to grow and to live and to flourish and let our light shine. So we don't do the victim role. We get a little bit of mileage sometimes in a teeny little way from it. Okay, you know, that's understandable. But if you have ever accepted that role in a serious sense, or you feel you have a genuine claim to victimization, accept it, if you will, that it happened, but don't let it have power over your life, because it holds us back in the most savage ways, and sometimes the most cruel and most unacceptable ways. The light has to shine, and it shines victorious. Victorious. We are victors in truth, never victims. I'll shut up.
You can stand up. Party people. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. On the move, yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. We got the groove. There've been so many things that held us down. Looks
sure to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move, we're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. Hi-ho. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. I know you know someone who's got a negative vibe, and when you try to make it, they only push you aside. They really don't have nowhere to go. Ask them where they're going. They don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. Gotta put ourselves together. We're polishing our act back. If you've ever been held down before, I know that you refuse to be held down anymore. Don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. Oh, I want y'all to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Come on! Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. Please don't stop. Please don't stop. Please don't stop. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. All right, we're gonna mix it up a little bit. Sing along. Don't wanna stop. Please don't let it stop. Don't wanna stop. Please don't let it stop. Don't wanna stop. Please don't let it stop. Don't wanna stop. Please don't let it. All right, we'll break it down. STOPPINAO. Okay, we're gonna come in with harmony, okay? STOPPINAO. One more time. STOPPINAO. That feels good. STOPPINAO. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Oh yeah, we got it. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. Last time we're feeling. Ain't no stopping us now. We on. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. Ain't no stopping us now. You.
Yeah.
Christina
Woo.
Souza.
Christina Souza. Ain't no stopping us now. Woo! My goodness. Right on, girl. I think is there something special going on that I need to know about? Is this not the offertory time? Okay, I'm just checking. I got backup singers. I got backup singers in the offertory time. It's happening as our ushers come forward. Whew, I'm telling you. I say no stopping us now. So, good evening, good afternoon. So this is the time in our service where we welcome our tithes and offerings. This is the time where we tap into that spiritual law of circulation that says, when we give, so shall we receive. And in the earlier service, I made a point to say, sometimes you're in church and you write your check out and then you fold it in half and you fold it in half again. And then you might fold it in half one more time and then you sneak it over there into the offering bowl and just a little bit nervous like that. Well, instead of doing that today, I'm offering up a different solution. The solution of opening up, feeling into the power, the joy of giving. So if you're writing a check, I invite you to open it up. If you've got some cash in your hand, I invite you to open it up Spread it out. Feel into it. Because it isn't about the amount, the monetary amount that we're giving. It's about the love, the power, the energy that gives back that which we give, that we shall receive. It's that love energy. So when we are offering it up today, family, do it with the love energy. So put your gift, your tithe, your offering over your heart and repeat after me. I open up. I open up my love energy, my love energy. I give from the overflow. I give from the overflow with grace and joy, with grace and joy. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you so much. Is real.
I feel it.
Anything can happen and it probably will. Woo! Something very good, something good is going on around here.
There's a light that shines to make the dark disappear.
Yeah.
Power of the word, but there's nothing to fear. Something very good, something good is going on around here. This is a church on fire. This is a Holy Spirit place. We have a something very good, something good is going on around here.
There's a light that shines to make the dark disappear.
Oh yeah.
Power of the word, but there's nothing to fear. Something very good, something good is going on around here.
This is a church on fire. This is a Holy Spirit place. We have a burning desire to live in God's holy name. Let the fire burn in every heart to light the way, defeat the dark. Let the flame of love burn higher. This is a church. This is a church on fire. Come on, sing it with us. This is a church on fire. This is a Holy Spirit place. We have a burning desire to live in God's holy name. Let the fire burn in every heart to light the way, defeat the dark. Let the flame of love burn higher. This is a church. This is a church on fire. Something very good, something good is going on around here. Something very good, something good is going on around here. Something very good, something good is going on around here.
Oh. Now you do that. No. I have my dignity to consider. What? Wash it, folks. Now, please. I'm so glad we have fun here. If we didn't laugh, I wouldn't be here. I love fun. Don't you laugh? Can we? Yeah, thank you. Yes. Doesn't mean you can't be serious about having fun.
That's right.
Did I say that? That's an aphorism, isn't it? Is that an aphorism? No. Look, come on, folks. Heaven's sake. It's all your fault. Pull ourselves together. Now, I want to thank you all for coming and to say next time, bring a friend, remember. They may be shocked at first. It is true. But, you know, they kind of get used to it. So bring a friend. show them what you're doing on Sunday morning. And I want to thank you so much for your free will. I trust they were free will offerings, so wonderfully given this morning, because they support this community. We have no other way, no other means of support save what people share with us. So that's wonderful. I want to pause, I want to bless and consecrate and dedicate these offerings, as I always do, to the furtherance and only the furtherance of God's will and work in and through this, our precious Christ-like ministry. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody this morning. And now let's have our closing.
Okay. There you go. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining us today. A reminder, at 1 p.m. we will have board talk. So if you have anything that you'd like to ask the board, please come by at 1 p.m. here in the chapel. And they are willing to discuss the future of this community and also the business of this organization. As well, thank you to all of the people that make this happen, from our wonderful volunteers like Zamar to Danny and the band. We have Sean in the cave, Levin on the keynote. We have Todd in the back, everyone in the kitchen. It takes a village, doesn't it? And so thank you, and a special thanks to each one of you. I also want to invite up the chaplains who hold the high watch for this community, whether you have a concern on your heart or want to celebrate something in your life. They are here to hold the high watch with you. They keep everything in the strictest of confidence. So please see our chaplains after today's service. Now, please, if you would just rise and stand and join a friendly hand as we sing the peace song and Aloha Oi.
Peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, and we all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Aloha, aloha, eke ona ona no ikalipo. One fond embrace, ahole ahe ahu, until we meet again.
Aloha, everyone. Blessings to you. Enjoy the remainder of your week.